classmates who made this weekend possible. So if the members of the reunion planning committee could just stand up for a few moments while I say a couple of words, I'd appreciate it. So you guys can just stand up real quick and be recognized. The classmates who are standing right now worked tirelessly for over a year to make sure that this weekend happened and happened in a way that you would all be proud of and appreciate it. They tracked down almost every single classmate that St. Ignatius had lost contact with. And it was just amazing to observe the great attendance that we had last night and tonight. And it's a testament to their hard work and dedication and the time and effort that they put in our various conference calls and call nights and that kind of thing. So thank you on behalf of St. Ignatius and on behalf of your classmates. So let's give these guys another round of applause. So in a few moments, Father Dial is going to have some remarks for you guys. But before that, I am really honored and excited to introduce another video this evening. As you all probably know, your classmate Richard Lopshaw, or Dick Rust, as he's affectionately known around the city of Cleveland, had a distinguished career. And we're fortunate that he has lended his expertise to us this evening and produced a remarkable video about your class and your classmates. Dick, I don't know where you are, but thank you so much for taking the time. To do this to everyone. It took a lot of effort to pull together teachers and coaches and classmates and to video them and stitch it all together in this beautiful presentation. So the class of 71 is very lucky to have a pro like you who's willing to spend the time and effort to compile a video like this. So Jake, thanks again. And let's roll the video. Give these guys a question. 1A, those kids. 1F and 1G. Not as smart. No cell phones, no internet. How things are so different now. These guys, a lot of changes, a lot of changes. At least I have to change.
You may not have changed, Mr. Pasco, but the last 50+ years have been a time of unbelievable change for our school, our country, our world, ourselves. Since we first walked through these doors as kittens in 1967, well, most of us made it in. Anyway, since then, as Mr. Pasco said, think about it. The world sure is a different place. There have been 5 different popes, 11 presidents, parts of 7, count 7 decades. The Indians played in 3 World Series. Final seconds, it's over. The Cavs won a world championship. And the Browns. And there's always this year. Since 1967, the world has welcomed some 30 new independent nations, and its population has grown by 4.5 billion. So many changes.
I would hope that a graduate's life of faith and openness to God and God's grace in his life would remain constant. And that life of faith may serve as a foundation for how that man lives and moves in the world.
A firm foundation sure was needed during our high school years. The 60s were a time of maybe revolutionary change.
There's a lot of anxiety among students about the Vietnam War, and there's always a challenge of authority. And they were told by various people, you gotta challenge authority. Just don't listen to people who are in a position to tell you what to do, what's right and wrong.
As part of his stellar faculty, Don Knight had his finger on the pulse of the 60s. He and other strong, steady voices of that era knew the challenges and their role in a turbulent time, informing young men to be men for others.
I think being at St. Ignatius, they had some good people telling them what is right and wrong. And they didn't challenge the authority nearly as much. And I think it was a good place for a lot of these kids to be because it wasn't a hostile place.
What I find to be true about our alumni, especially those who came through that age of so much tumult and shift and change, is that the values by which we educate and form our students remain ever present in the spirits and the lives and the souls of our graduates.
For the class of 71, the getting there from where we started was the challenge. And the raw material in the form of 250 plus teams was in the hands of men who had been there, done that, and knew how high the stakes really are.
I don't have time to deliver a systematic oration, but a soliloquy, brief soliloquy is in order, I think.
Yes, it is the Paul Nemeth, coach, classicist, historian, still exhorting the men of his classes of more than half a century ago to call upon their formation.
This is a troubled world in which we're living, and some of the traditions that have made this country great are under attack by nihilists from abroad, as well as within the context of our own country. I'm asking you, gentlemen, to try to recoup these and restore these kinds of values in order to save our country. With that, I again wish you the best, congratulate you, and bid you adieu.
The unforgotten faces, some still with us, some passed on, each still part of us, some whose impact will resonate for generations.
The feeling of the good hopes I had for all of you, your tremendous talent, great ability, lots of fun. You had fun among yourselves, even though these hard times were going on. And that gave me hope that even though our country was going through such difficult times, I'd say these guys are going to be all right, and our country's going to be all right.
Father Welsh did mention fun, didn't he? At least Mr. Flandera's cigar wasn't the exploding kind.
One of the kids, I think, brought it, and I think it was after one of the games.
And more than half a century later, still worth a laugh to share with his former players and students.
You know, it's been 50 years for me too, and there's a lot of things I don't remember. I remember this guy, I think I got sick on it after. That was not my thing.
Nor apparently was staying awake on the beach Mr. Flandera's thing either. And there's yet another confirmation of Father Welsh's recollection of fun times with the class of 71. Though it took about a year to get wrapped up.
The sophomores were always crazy. Freshmen were always so, first semester, they were always so very neat, you know. Second semester freshmen started to feel their oats, but sophomores were such a joy to teach. They were so full of spit and vinegar, and they were so willing to make fun of each other and themselves. And they were just so full of life and vitality. I loved it. They kept me young, I think, or you know, somewhat young.
We sing that very proudly in our alma mater. Here's the blessing, cannot sever ties of new days from the old.
If those were the old days, then maybe it is those times of which we sing that help keep all of us at least somewhat young in these days. The new.
You know, fellas, for the last 25 years or so, starting with Father Welsh, Father Pasicki, I've been to a lot of satellite reunions. This is where we go out of town and visit grads in different cities across the country. And I'm just amazed at all these, so many of these stops. Wives will come up to me and they'll say, what is it with this school, you know, that my husband went to? It just seems so different. But you know, there really is something different and something very special here at St. Ignatius. That's why so many of our grads who have sons here would like that experience for their sons, and that's why some grads that live out of town even consider coming back to Cleveland. We do have something very unique, very special, and it's something that we're going to have another class of freshmen coming in a few more weeks, and that journey, that special situation is going to begin for them. You've experienced it. I think most of you certainly appreciate it. And I think it's something that is going to go on for another, I would hope, even another 50 years.
The ties that bind us to this beloved institution, to all that we learned here, to how we were formed here by our teachers, our coaches, our counselors. It's those ties that really get to the heart of who we are.
And today, just who are we? With more than 50 years in the books, how strong are those ties? How steady is that foundation through now a lifetime of faith, of family, of loves, losses, success, challenges, disappointments? How has the world changed us? Have we changed the world?
Continue to remain faithful to the school and continue to remain faithful to Jesus Christ, for whom the school is founded, and in honor of whom we try to educate these young men and in whose life we try to live our lives.
I left St. Ignatius in 2008 and have served in governance as a provincial and as president of the Judgment Conference, and I can tell you that I have seen the global reach of this institution. Having met alumni from across the world, and seeing the picture of the tower in such cities as Lima, Peru, and Delhi, India, and Rome, Italy, I see the impact. But there is no greater impact or legacy than the alumni who gather regularly to celebrate this education. It is a gift and a treasure to our church and our city.
Choose great things when you during life. See if you can choose the right thing.
You'll never get another 50-year reunion. You might get a 60 or a 70, but you'll never get another 50-year reunion. So, yeah, enjoy it.
The footballers, non-footballers, students like class of 71 have my admiration, have my respect, and I wish them the best.
There's nothing more gratifying to hear about St. Ignatius High School than when an alumnus talks about the ties that bind them to this place. Certainly their fellow teachers, but maybe especially their peers, their classmates. It's wonderful to see so many members of the class of 1971 active still here at St. Ignatius High School.
Well, I said there were certainly a lot of changes in these last 50 years. But isn't it interesting? You guys, a lot of chaos surrounding you when you started at Ignatius. And think, 50 years later, through what the country's gone through in the last few years, the kind of chaos that is kind of surrounding us now. But you know, it's kind of interesting. In a few weeks, there's going to be another class of freshmen here at Ignatius. And though the world is a lot different now than it was for you, I still see a lot of promise and a lot of hope for these entering freshmen who will start their careers with us in just a short time. It's great being with you guys again. I wish you only the best of luck in your future.
Whether we've been able to stay in touch since our days together, or if for some, it's been 50 years, remember then the times and hold fast to the faith she still imparts. We are Ignatius men forever, as once more, as the class of 71, we hail the blue and gold.
Yeah, thanks again. That was awesome. Thank you. Couple notes before we get to Father Dial. I just wanted to let everyone know, if you didn't know, the video and the memorial video that we played during Mass are on a zip drive that was in your gift bag you should have received last night. So they're small, you could have missed it. It's in there. If you didn't get 2 videos on there. And one other note, we've had a couple requests to get another group picture of the guys here tonight. So after Father Diaz done with his presentation, we're going to try to gather the classmates inside the Maja Center. So we can get a couple more pictures, live, can get pictures with their phones, and do that. So at this point, I'd like to bring up the president of St. Ignatius High School, Father Ray Diaz, from the class of 1983.
You all very much. So good to be with you. It's such a great evening. It's been a great weekend of celebration for all of you back here at St. Ignatius High School. You know, when you were receiving your diplomas back in May or June of 1971, I was receiving my first communion. But don't feel bad, as I often remind Mr. John Pasco, his first year of teaching was the year I was born, 1964. It's wonderful to have you. I'd just like to give you a little bit of what St. Ignatius High School is about today. It was a wonderful school when you were students here from 1967 to 1971. I would argue it's an even better school today. It's grown tremendously over the 5 decades since you have graduated. I take none of that credit. As I said in my remarks earlier, we stand on the shoulders of the mighty Jesuits and all the undergraduates who have gone before us. It's on the foundation that you have built that St. Ignatius High School continues to grow. We serve now 1,500 students from all over Greater Cleveland. It's marvelous to see how many students come from all walks of life and from all corners of Northeastern Ohio. We're very, very fortunate to continue to have an all-star faculty and staff to help guide, form, and educate our students. We have a tremendous AP program that guides our students in a second to none world-class academic education. We have over 20 National Merit Scholars each year, and it's tremendous to see just how many Ignatian Scholars we have. That is, boys who, when they take our entrance exam, score 90% or better, earning themselves merit scholarships. So we say a rising tide raises all boats. So it's really quite tremendous to see just how bright our students continue to be. We have 110 full-time faculty and staff. Really quite remarkable. I'm not sure how many were teaching you when you were students. Back then, I think many of them were Jesuits, scholastics, most of them, I imagine. Right now, we really only have one Jesuit scholastic teaching in the classroom. You heard him singing today. I forgot to acknowledge him at the end of Mass. Mr. Sean Teets is actually a very talented singer. Right? He's not with us this evening for dinner, but I will make sure to convey your good wishes and your gratitude to him. We have 4 Jesuits who are working in the classroom and myself in administration. So while we are fewer, we are still quite a presence on our campus, forming young men and also forming the teachers, the faculty and the staff to form our young men in the ways of our Catholic faith and in academics. So it's really quite something to see that St. Ignatius High School is as strong as it is. One of the things that I'm most proud of is how strong our mission is here at St. Ignatius High School. As I said, we really credit the Jesuits who went before us, they who conveyed the mission, they who carried out the mission and advanced the mission of St. Ignatius that continues very strongly here because those Jesuits imparted to all of us who teach here now and who serve as administrators the foundations of our faith, the foundations of Ignatian spirituality. We pass that on now to our students in a way that I believe is even stronger than when I was a student here in the late 70s and the early 80s. Our students know how to discern God's will in their life. I might bring up as an example that this very day is entrance day in our novitiate in St. Paul, Minnesota. That is the first day that Jesuit novices from the Midwest start their training as Jesuits. And among the 12 who are starting this very day, 2 are graduates from St. Ignatius High School. Furthermore, at Borromeo Seminary, from our graduating class of 2021, we have 2 students, graduates who are starting at Borromeo, discerning their own path in diocesan formation. So 2 for the Jesuits, 2 for the diocesan. Some new things here. We are sitting in the shadow of the Carfagna Family Modges Athletic Center, one of the newest, and I would say the jewel in the crown of South Campus, thanks to the wonderful gift of Rita and Peter Carfagna, class of 1971. We have this beautiful space. So it becomes a home of our varsity baseball team, as well as our crew. They have a space up in the mezzanine in which they can fit up to 85 ergonometers, that is rowing machines. You should see what that's like when you have 85 student rowers. We have a crew of about 115 boys. But there's batting practice going on in here. And this past year, because of COVID, we could not have prom in a downtown ballroom in a hotel. So guess where prom was? Right in here. And I tell you, we told the girls, please don't wear heels because we don't want you to tear up the turf. And they were very good. They kicked their heels off. Anyway, they had a marvelous time. 600 seniors and their dates in here. It was really a marvelous thing. I'm thinking actually of renting this space out for more parties. Things like bar mitzvahs, weddings, baptisms, you name it. We'll talk later, Peter. Another thing that I'd like to make you aware of, and this is a legacy of Father Bob Welsh. The Welsh Academy opened just 2 years ago. This year, we will have a full enrollment of 62 6th, 7th, and 8th grade boys from all over the inner city of Cleveland. Back in the 1990s, when I was in scholastic teaching here, I remember Father Welsh coming home and telling us Jesuits about an idea he had to open a middle school for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade boys that would prepare them well for admission to St. Ignatius High School. He believed that just as boys from the suburbs have good chance to get in, those boys from the inner city would otherwise not even think of St. Ignatius High School as viable for them, would be viable for them if they had a good preparation. Well, that idea kind of went on ice for quite some time, but when I became president in July of 2015, I opened our strategic plan and saw there this: look into the feasibility of a middle school. And I thought to myself, I remember exactly what that is. That was Father Welsh's idea, opening what he wanted to call the Archbishop Romero Academy. Well, we ran it through the board. We did a whole Ignatian sermon on it. We got a thumbs up on it back in May of 2018. I jumped into my car and I drove right up to Columbia and I met with Father Welsh. And I said, Father, you would never guess what? We pushed that idea of a middle school through to the board. They said, yes, I have an idea. You know, you wanted to call that the Archbishop Romero Academy. I have a better idea. Let's call it the Welsh Academy. He looked at me and he said, oh, Ray, I don't need a school named after me. I said, I know you don't,
I need the school named after you so I can raise the money. Right up into his baby blue eyes and said, that's exactly right. I love how you're thinking. With a lot of good effort, great leadership, the board's blessing, we have now a full enrollment at the Welsh Academy. We're very excited to see this great education. Finally, I want to say we're looking forward to a very positive year here at St. Ignatius High School. A year that we hope will be much more normal than last year. Last year, we did our very best, and I might say we succeeded in carrying out a school year in the midst of a pandemic. No easy thing for administrators, for faculty, for staff, for students, or their families to carry on. But carry on we did. Why? Because we believe our mission is absolutely essential. Forming young men to know, love, and serve Jesus Christ, to raise them in the Catholic faith with the values that we uphold. This is absolutely essential and must never stop. Thanks to the dedication of our faculty, our staff, our tremendous principal, Dr. Anthony Dior, and my entire senior staff, we were able to carry out a successful academic year. This year, we look forward to welcoming 1,500 boys, 365 freshmen. We are very excited for a new school year, which begins on Monday. So I'd like to thank you very much to everyone. I'd like to maybe open it to 4 or 5 questions before dessert is served, and it's quite a dessert, I understand. Anyone brave enough to ask a question? Curiosities? Someone was asking what tuition is here at St. Ignatius High School currently. $18,300 is what our tuition is. I'm very proud to say, however, that we offer over $8.7 million in tuition assistance to over half of our student body, which is really tremendous. One beautiful story, I was with an alumnus out of town, and I asked him, I said, sir, why do you give as generously as you do? And he looked at me and he said, because someone gave for me to go. I'll never know who that was, but my mom was doing her best to put 3 of us through St. Ignatius High School. Someone gave so that I could come here. That's why I give, Father. I think that's the story for many of our givers. That heartens me tremendously to know that people like you are paying it forward. Questions, curiosities, yes.
How many of your students are on like Ed Choice vouchers through the state?
Yes, most from the city of Cleveland are. So I would say about 15 to 25% of our students receive vouchers. City of Cleveland. Yes.
Is there anything, any plans of new construction and capital work?
Oh, yes, we do. Which is why we're coming around to your tables. And if you have to get up. As I said, we have this wonderful new facility here, a renovation of what we call Kosicki Hall, an old church building that goes on, that dates back all the way to 1863, that is now the home of the Welsh Academy. Loyola Hall is the only academic building on our campus that still really needs a lot of love. Back when I was a freshman in the fall of 1978, the 3rd floor, which is the social studies department, was renovated. And in my junior year, between 1980 and 1981, the 2nd floor, which houses our theology department, was renovated. In bits and pieces, the basement of Loyola Hall was renovated to accommodate a new faculty lounge, our bookstore, and our assistant principal's office. What we'd really like to do is bring everything down to the studs on Loyola Hall, perhaps restore a 4th floor to Loyola Hall. I don't know if you know this, but there was at one point a 4th floor. I think it was a gymatorium, wasn't it? On the 4th, on the top floor of Loyola Hall. It was removed not too long after St. Mary's came down. But we'd like to restore that and to build more academic space for our students. We have a strategic plan that we are launching. It's actually going to be approved, God willing, by our board in mid-September. And from that strategic plan, we will launch a capital campaign to renovate that building, as well as some other academic spaces in the main building. Many exciting things to look forward to in academics here at St. Ignatius High School. Thanks for that question. We'll be hearing from you. Jim, did you have a question or you were just stretching? Okay. Yes.
What's the interest in Welsh Academy? Is it easy to attract young men who are
Yes.
interested?
Right now, it's been word of mouth. We are not permitted to go into the public schools to solicit, and we're certainly not after Catholic students who are in Catholic schools, right? So what we're looking for are students who come from the public schools, but we're little limited by how we get the word out. So right now, it's word of mouth. And the parents of the current 8th graders are our best ambassadors. They've been spreading the word about it. And so we've gotten a great 7th grade class, and their parents have been ambassadors for getting a good 6th grade class in as well. They're all very excited about this. You ask them all if they want to come to St. Ignatius High School, and they all excitedly say yes. We do hope and intend for the vast majority of them to come to St. Ignatius. It's not a guarantee. They have to earn their place at St. Ignatius High School. But there is a place for them if they qualify with the entrance exam, with their conduct, with their academic record, with their readiness to become Ignatius Wildcats. One last question, Jim Day.
All right, so Father, maybe you could correct the record. What I recall was our class, we were on the stage of music hall for our graduation.
Yes.
And some of my fellow classmates misbehaved. And from what I recall was we were banned from having graduation at music hall for a number of years. Or we were the last class that was up on the stage facing the audience. Is that a true story, or am I just memorizing? Is that something?
I believe it is true, actually, Jim. Right, and the sport got to prove it, Jeff Leach said. That's right. The number of stories of different commencements to the history of St. Ignatius High School would boggle your mind. Let me share with you one. We have been in graduation venues all over the city. Severance Hall, Public Hall, State Theater, John Carroll University for many years. My graduation, the class of 1982, was the only class to graduate in the backyard of St. Ignatius High School. Let me tell you why. The class of 1981 was an even worse graduation than the class of 1971. Something about that, the one. I don't know what it is, but that was at the Front Row Theater, and Father Welsh was so upset at that graduation that he told us, the class of 1982, when we were just in our junior year, you will not have a commencement. This was a disaster. 2 weeks later, the last week of school, we said to him, Father, would you reconsider? We did nothing to deserve this. He said, that's fine. Let's all come into the chapel and let's lay out how we're going to do graduation in June of 1982. So we had a mannequin dressed in a blue blazer, a white shirt, an Ignatius tie, and gray pants in those days. And he said, boys, he called us boys, this is what you will look like when you graduate from St. Ignatius High School. We're doing commencement here on campus at a location to be disclosed somewhere here on campus. Father Ober apparently was Father Larry Ober was the one who arranged for the reception. There was more food and drink at that reception. It mirrored something like the feeding of the 5,000 Oscars. It was the most expensive graduation reception in the history of the school. But we had a mighty dignified graduation ceremony. Tom Basco, you were there yourself. All the blacktop in the courtyard was covered with blue and gold carpeting, big stage and banners, and all this bunting on the main building. That's just one of many graduation stories. See me for more. If you have any other further questions or curiosities, I'll be over here at this table. Thank you all very much for coming. And before I end my time here at the microphone, I'd just like to give credit and thanks and fond farewell to a dear, dear friend of ours. Everything that you see here in events like this, and we do events like this quite often, are because of a vision that Miss Melissa Murphy has shared with us and has guided us through 17 years on our advancement staff. She recently accepted a position at St. Joseph Academy in their advancement department and will be moving on there. She leaves a tremendous legacy, not only of elegant events, but of incomparable hospitality and care for us benefactors and alumni of St. Ignatius High School. Please join me in thanking and acknowledging Melissa Murphy.
Thanks, Father Neil. That'll conclude the presentation we have for you guys tonight. But we do want to ask that if the guys could take 5 minutes, we've got chairs set up already in the Module Center to get one last picture of all of you guys together with Bishop Walkowiak here. I think that would be beneficial for